welcome back to Tiny Seeds. If you're coming upon this video, this is number 2 in a series about planning for homeschooling high school. If you haven't watched the first video, go back and find that video first and then revisit this one for step 2. So now we're going to actually start planning. You're going to take those resources that you printed off in the last video and use them to kind of piece together a plan for the 4 years of your child's high school. You're probably familiar by now with what your county school board's requirements are for a standard diploma, and hopefully you've kind of figured out what course your child is going to be set on during their high school years. They may be earning a diploma and then going into the military or the workforce, or they may be rigorously preparing for college. Either way, you can start to map out their courses at this point. And I will remind you, this is just a tentative plan. So you're going to do all of this in pencil. It's going to change countless times throughout the years that your child is in high school. So to help us out, I came up with a super simple printable that I have used for my daughter so far in her high school years. I will link this down below if you'd like to print it out. Basically, all it does is take into account the requirements for the high school diploma in each subject area. So English, math, social studies, science, fine arts, physical education, online course. For each subject area, what I did is put what the state requirements are for Florida, and then in some cases I put a slash and then I put what my ideal would be for her to complete. For example, Florida only requires 3 years of science, and they do specify which sciences those need to be. So even though she only was required to do 3 years of science, ideally I would like her to do 4. Now from here, you can start to map out what classes they should take each year to stay on course for graduation. Again, these are all requirements for a standard diploma for a public school student. So as a homeschooler, you have the freedom to play with this and to focus on what is important to you and your family and your values while still staying within the guidelines that colleges will be looking for. So when I say that the requirements are this, this, and this, what I'm saying is if you want to keep your student on par with their peers so that they will graduate with a good transcript that is equal to their peers, you will want to meet these requirements, but you also have room to insert your own classes and credits in there where you'd like. At the end of the day, if your child is going to college, those colleges have their set of requirements and things that they're looking for. So again, if your child has any idea which school they want to go to, you kind of want to work backwards and get the requirements for that school for admission and make sure you're fulfilling those within these 4 years. But this is just a helpful guide to get started. So you can see I've gone through several versions of this because, like I said, things change. You are constantly learning. So do this in pencil, or I like erasable pen, and make adjustments throughout the years as you go. This is actually kind of fun as you piece together half credits, full credits, fulfill requirements, plug in things that you know your student loves. My daughter loves theater and film, so we're able to do an online course of theater and film for her, and it fulfilled her fine arts requirement. So there's a lot of room for fun play in here. You can put in Bible courses, anything that you want to put in for electives. That's just, the possibilities are endless. Just be sure that you're fulfilling either the curriculum requirement for a credit or the hourly requirement for a credit if you want to have all your boxes checked. I'm going to do another video in the future about how we have successfully kept track of those types of things for our records. So stay tuned for that. But for now, we're still in the planning phase. My advice to you would be don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't get lost in which curriculum am I going to use, all of that. And if you do know those things, by all means, of course, go ahead and plan them. But if you're just taking this in a step-by-step approach in order to not get overwhelmed, don't get bogged down by those details. As you go throughout your students' high school years, you're going to become aware of different and new resources that become available, and you may just scrap what you had planned and do something new anyway. One important note in certain areas such as science and possibly even sometimes math, your state may require for public school students to complete classes that have a lab requirement, and you can certainly fulfill those at home, but in most homeschooling experience, it's very hard to keep on top of and perform labs on, say, a weekly basis or whatever is required in order to complete that credit. So start looking around for maybe local co-ops, or dual enrolling is another option to satisfy those science credits in more of a classroom setting where they will be completing labs with other students, and it's just generally a more fulfilling experience for them as a whole. I will be doing a future video on record keeping as far as grades and transcripts and credits go. So look out for that video. If you'd like to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you know when that next video posts. And I really appreciate you watching today.